traditionally, cities have had like boom periods when others might have been flat. But in recent times, it's all been, the whole country's been on the way up, every single state. In fact, every capital city is at a new record peak in terms of the value of property, value of houses in particular, other than Perth and Darwin, but they're on an upward trajectory. So, yeah, look, I have seen it. I've seen just about everything in 38 years in property, but that's happened lately, which makes it a little bit more difficult to find a site because of that house value. But so what do you need to happen? Well, you need houses to slow down a bit and let's say townhouses to catch up a bit. And I think that will happen. And when that does, then that example I just said, the house at $1 million, now as a for townhouse site, it's worth $850. So as townhouses go up in value, the land value goes up as well. Right.
So do you see this as like, where is there's always an opportunity somewhere for somebody. Where do you see the opportunity in this current market if we're looking at highest and best use?
Well, if you're going to, let's say you're looking at doing a townhouse development, it's going to have to be the worst house. The old saying, worst house in the best street. Well, you can't always do that, but it's going to be where houses are not in very good condition, where the land is where the value is, not so much the house.
And you might feel like you're overpaying initially.
Yeah, well, that's the temptation in this sort of a market is for developers to do a feasibility and for the required development margins not there. But they think, well, in a year's time when I'm finished and I'm selling everything, let's say, the market should have lifted. So they're saying, look, I don't mind paying a little bit over the top for the site at the moment because I know that the sale prices are going to continue and that will pay catch up.
And we're seeing plenty of people do that right now.
Oh, look, a lot of people are. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying there is obviously an element of risk when you're using a future sale price against a current acquisition price.
and you don't want to be getting pre-sales at that rate.
Well, no. Look, if you go back to, like I just mentioned before, the end of 2017, when the Sydney market peaked, the Melbourne market peaked, and then there was that correction for about 2 years before it lifted again. If you'd bought a site towards the end of 2017 in Sydney or Melbourne with the expectation that values were going to keep increasing, then they wouldn't have. And that's where it could have come to bite people that do that, and they would have had to wait or put a lot more money into the deal, make the bank happy. So, but yeah, highest and best use, so often I see people, not developers, but normal mums and dads.
Wood ducks?
Oh, not necessarily.
The old wood duck.
Well, look, the wood duck generally is somebody that buys a property that's way overpriced. But I'm talking about sites, and look, we look at a lot of sites that have development permits, don't we? But a lot of the time, it's been a normal mum and dad who've got the development permit. It's rarely another developer. I mean, occasionally we might buy a site off another developer that's got a development approval and they're selling it for whatever reason. But generally, most sites that have a development permit, it's just a normal mum and dad. And the permit isn't always
reflective.
No, it's
not always the right one. Yeah.
If you think just because something's got a development permit, it must be good, think again, because truly,
that's tip of the day.
Most of the deals I look at with a development permit end up in my rubbish bin.
Yeah.
For a whole heap of reasons.
But probably that would be the main one. It's just average mums and dads thinking that they're increasing the value of their property by getting a development permit. And at the end of the day, it's probably not the highest and best use of that land.
No, it might always have been better just as house value. And that's what I see, because this is this illusion that if you get a development permit, you add value. In a lot of cases you do, but not necessarily. I mean, what you have to do, and a mum and dad, I use the term nicely, don't know, is what they need to do. First of all, what's their house worth? Let's look at it as a house, because what they want to do, they want to sell their property. They know it has development potential, and either somebody's whispered something in their ear or they just don't have a clue, and they think, well, if I get a development permit, I'll get a lot more for it when I sell it, without ever putting science behind it and doing the numbers. And it could be that situation that I mentioned before. A house is worth $1 million, but as a townhouse site's worth 800 or 850. So why would you go and get a development permit to sell it when in fact it's worth less as a site than as a house?
Yeah.
And that's what I see. And not just recently because houses have gone up. I've seen it my whole career. And particularly with sites that have a bit of a problem. If you've got a site that has a bit of a problem, let's say
slopes, flooding.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you more to build for those reasons, but you can't sell it for any more. Therefore, the only way you can get out of it as a developer and make the profit margin is to buy the land for less.